Good morning, everybody. Welcome, Hot Takes Goodman and Hurdle. Bruce is off today, filling in once again, Mr. Iowa. Mr. Iowa.
What?
Keeler, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. Good morning, Eric. Two words that have never been said with my name, two adjectives. They've called me Mr. something, but it's usually not nice, and it's definitely not. I've been called some four-letter words with
Right.
Mr., but Iowa is not among them.
Actually, I heard a good joke the other day. It's an old joke, I'm sure. It's certainly not original. Why does golf have four letters in it?
Why?
Because all the other four-letter words were taken.
Yeah. That's a good dad joke.
It's because golf is so hard.
Yeah.
I guess that's why. I mean, the F word's taken, the S word's taken, and I'm not going to go any further than that. Big plans this weekend? I hope.
A little bit. Going to do some things around the Front Range of the family, and we're getting ready for our vacation next week. And Bruce is on his now.
Yeah.
And, when as you know, we're in the great dead zone in Front Range sports, where it's after Broncos OTAs, you have vacation season in between the OTAs and the training camp, and I'm getting ready for mine. But happy to spend a little bit of it, the vacation with you.
Where are you guys going?
We're going to San Diego.
Oh, that's a great place to go.
Yep.
What are some of the things on the Keeler tour?
Oh, a lot of Balboa Park. And embarrassingly, we're going to see Padres Nats, not because I like either team, but I've not been to Petco Park for any reason. And so I'm going to cross that as a baseball nerd off my bucket list. So looking forward to that. I'm dragging the family to that. The wife hates baseball. I love it. And so the next day will be of our 4 days. One day will be baseball, and another day will be for her.
The Gaslamp District's very similar to Lodo. Very similar. It's a beautiful area. So I think she'll enjoy that. You guys going to go to La Jolla at all?
A little bit. We've got about 4 days, 3 nights, so we'll get in what we can.
Terrific. Well, I hope you have a great time. And
thank you.
You'll of course have to leave after the show on Monday because we're doing the show on Monday. You remembered that, right?
I did.
Okay, just checking.
Can't wait. Mr. Morning Person.
There we go. Hey, real quick, want to let you know about Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk. They're having another great promotion. They'll be giving away a pair of Spider Cruisers or $15,000 in cash the weekend of July 18th. Get finals entries every 45 minutes from 10 a.m. until midnight during their daily cash drawings with a locked-up jackpot of over $100 or more. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, a family-owned casino that treats you like family. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Smokin' Dave's Barbecue. It is not just the best barbecue in town, it is one of the best restaurants in town. You can find Smokin' Dave's Barbecue off 36th and Pecos.
We had a conversation about an article from Gennaro Felici predicted his all-rookie team. 3 Broncos rookies on the list: Jahdae Barron, RJ Harvey, Jeremy Crawshaw. We spoke extensively about Harvey and him potentially being on the list, or him being on the list, and what that potentially could have the offense looking like. With that, we did not get into Barron. We did not get into Crawshaw. So let's dig into that right now. He mentioned, Felici, in his article, that Vance Joseph called Barron a, quote, can't-miss prospect for the Broncos, and then wrote, NFL Network's Daniel Jeremiah comps Barron to one of the most versatile and impactful defensive backs in the game today, Detroit's Brian Branch. If Barron turns into Branch, for the sake of argument, who made the Pro Bowl in just his second season, what does that cornerback look like when paired with Surtain? And what does that cornerback room in general, when you throw him in with Moss, look like for the rest of the league as well?
You've got one of the, if not the best cornerback rooms in the AFC. And you've got as much speed as anybody. You've got as much playmakers, as many playmakers, I should say, as anybody. And you've got a lot of competition and a little depth when you consider one of the big pluses in getting Barron, besides the speed, the closing. I mean, this is a sub 4.40.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of shock and hand-wringing about not taking a running back or a tight end in that slot. But this is one of the best, you talk best players available. this is the potential to be one of the draft's first round steals at 20, and you don't expect a steal.
Right.
Yeah, I think there was probably some genuine shock that somebody that good and that impactful potentially was there. I think you've got depth, regardless of where you've landed him, and you've got flexibility, which is what Branch gives you. And it's trite, it's cliche, but they were looking for a joker. They found one just on the defensive end, and I think that's the exciting part of this going forward, is that a strength of a team, your good defense gets better and has depth to a point where you learned that you needed it last year and learned the hard way.
So you have Greenlaw and Singleton coming back from injury. Neither guy participated in OTAs or in minicamp. With that, right now, I think you can make the case. If the Broncos have a weakness defensively, it's going to be against the run, because right now both those guys are not practicing. They're both coming off of injury. Throwing the ball against the Broncos is going to be incredibly tough. With that, with the pass rush, and then throw in the secondary. Mm-hmm. If Greenlaw and Singleton return to form, how in the world do you even attack this team?
Well, they're going to attack it the way teams started to attack it last fall, and that is they're going to look for Riley Moss first and work their way back. Because to your point,
can I give you just a wee bit of pushback on that?
Okay,
how'd the Broncos defense look with Riley Moss off the field?
Not great,
right?
And I don't disagree. I talked to Riley about this last week at camp, as you know. And I think to your point,
attack him at your own peril. That guy has some serious dog in him.
Gosh, talk about an Iowa guy right there. There's your Iowa. Mr. Iowa is Riley Moss. And I think he knows that. And I think, again, to credit to the law firm of Payton and Payton, that was the plan. Saying, look, if we saw what we look like without him, the fall off was so extreme. We can't put McMillan out on the boundary. We've got to keep him in the middle of the field when we play him. We've got to find somebody that could do both in case we would lose Moss and McMillan. And they answered that. They found that guy and just was probably stunned again that he was there at 20 to be had, because it was something like 30 points a game given up on average. I'm doing the math in the morning off the top of my head, but it was something like 400 passing yards, 30 points. Jerry Jeudy's still open, still running right now. It was not pretty. So I think they can go at Moss, but I think to your point, you're running out of places to go other than up the middle at linebacker. And I think teams are hoping, that Singleton doesn't come to form and that Greenlaw isn't healthy, because I think they're going to go to Moss's side first, good or bad, probably not for the better. And they're going to look over the middle again, as they have against pass defense.
New special teams coordinator Darren Rizzi called Jeremy Crawshaw. He is as talented as a punting prospect I've ever had. I know talking about the punter is not sexy. With that, how big of a weapon do you think Crawshaw could be for the Broncos? And honestly, do we just look at the special teams in general, to be perfectly honest, but specifically the punting position as, they're not really football players anyway? Do we do that too much, not realizing that this particular guy could be one of the most valuable guys on the team? That's, by the way, not hyperbole. I covered Todd Sauerbrunn here. That guy was unbelievable when he wasn't taking performance-enhancing drugs.
And he could multitask. Yeah. At altitude, you're crazy not to make your kicking game a weapon, one way or another. And historically, certainly on the place kicking side too, to your point, it has been. Why else would you be here? I think to answer your earlier question, I don't know if he's a secret weapon, because guys in the league know, but when you can play that altitude into a strength, the way that you play the crowd and Broncos country into a strength, you have to use it. I kind of love this stat. I think Rizzi himself is one of those sneaky good acquisitions of the offseason. You know what I mean? The Saints, and I'm sure you know this because you were you are up on minutia that matters on the Broncos side of things. I thought this stat was great. The last 2 seasons, and I think actually 4 of the last 5, if I'm not mistaken, the Saints are among the top 10 teams and one of the few teams that have been in the top 10 in opponent drives that start from the 20 and back on special teams.
Right.
And that in a league that's all about possessions and about efficiency per possession, that's, to your point, massive. And so the combination of Crawshaw and Ritzy have the potential to be something real in a division where those kind of little things help.
We talk about complementary football all the time. Special teams helps, but usually when you talk about complementary football with special teams, you're really referring to a punt returner taking X number of yards, right? A kickoff returner taking X number of yards. I honestly think when you look at Crawshaw, he is going to make this defense so tough to beat because he's going to be pinning offenses back. You're going to have to drive 80 yards plus in many, many games. And that's just going to make the defense, at least statistically, better.
I have always thought that, and I'm glad you said pinned. I wish they would not call it in the stat line, the 20 and back, and would just, if we can create something for middle relievers, if we can create holds, why don't we just call it pins?
Yeah.
Because to your point, when real estate is the name of the game and territory, and where you start and maximize drives is the coin of the realm, I think it's huge. I think it's massively underrated, and I think it makes a good defense better just in terms of where they're going to be able to start drives and how much more work those defenses are going to have to do. And Sean Payton knows that. He's no dummy in that. This is not his first rodeo,
right,
in that regard. And I'm sure when he took this job, he thought that too, that if I can turn the kicking game into a weapon outside the way that they did inside, different idea, same idea, different climates. I think he will, and we're well on the way.
I want to take a hard right turn, talk about your column today. You are suggesting that Dick Monfort should trade Ryan McMahon and German Marquez. Do tell. Explain your column.
Or to use a term I think you've thrown at me, or an argument you've thrown at me in the past, and it's a good one. Are Ryan McMahon and German Marquez part of a winning team or an effort to win anytime in the near future? And both guys being 30, or in the case of Marquez, about to turn 30. Or are they part of making you better? I shouldn't say better, but relevant now. Do they make you relevant now? And the answer is no, they haven't, and they wouldn't in the next 3 years. So if you have talent that does not make you relevant now, and in the case of Marquez is coming up on a contract year, why would you not then leverage that for something that will make you better and more talented 3-4 years from now?
Okay, I'm going to agree.
You've got to do one of the two.
I'm going to agree with you that they should probably trade him for pieces. I get that. Mm-hmm. My problem is that the advanced scouting department for the Rockies is so fucking bad, seriously, that I don't even think they know the right guys to get in return. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, when the Rockies traded Arenado, I honestly don't believe, from what I was told, they didn't even know who to ask for. It would be like the Cardinals saying, well, who do you want in return? And Bill Schmidt, or whoever was the GM at the time, Bridich, right? Was it Bridich?
I think it was still Bridich. Yep.
And Bridich says, let me call you back.
Yeah.
Hey guys, who do we want? Right. That's what's so pathetic about this situation. Because I'm sorry, I don't trust Bill Schmidt.
And we've had this talk before, I think about the time that Story was coming to his contract year, or maybe Gray, or both. It was about that time. And I think you called me once because I think I was on the way to to Colorado Springs in the June or July, and you're calling me going, Keeler, Eric says to me.
No, I didn't say it like that.
What?
That is a gross exaggeration.
What is that in fact? But you said they don't have the advanced scouting.
They don't.
All they want to do, they don't know. They're scared. Eric Goodman says to me, and I always remember what you say to me, brother. He says to me, they don't have the advanced scouting to get anybody from a trade. They don't have the big league scouts who know who to get in the minors, and they would rather lose a guy to free agency for the draft picks because they know at least colleges better than they know other teams' farm systems. That is how
I said that too.
You did say that to me. You said that is how they do things. That is Bill Schmidt's strength, for whatever that is worth. That is his preference.
Bill Schmidt, by the way, has been with the Rockies and, for the most part, the director of scouting for at least 20 years, right?
Yep. Long time.
At least 20 years. So with that, you have Nolan Arenado, Trevor Story, Tulowitzki, I think he has produced 5 or 6 legitimate all-stars in 20 years.
Yep.
And when I say legitimate, every team has to send somebody. You have legitimate guys who should be, and then, it's kind of like being on the playground. Well, you got to play, so you get to be on my team.
Right.
I mean, do you trust what they're doing? You know what?
Oh, no,
Here's the only thing I have confidence in with the Rockies moving forward. Only thing that if Dick Monfort is to Bill Wirtz, that Sterling Monfort is to Rocky Wirtz. Make sense to you?
It does.
But let's explain that really quickly.
Okay, please do.
So Bill Wirtz was the owner of the Chicago Blackhawks.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't want the games on TV.
Nope.
The teams were good, but they weren't winning anything. It's like once Rocky Wirtz took over the Sun, suddenly they were winning championships, games were on TV, and people truly wanted to go to the games in full mass again.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the Monfort boys get a lot of grief for being his, the whole nepotism thing. Listen, if your dad owns a family business, chances are he's probably going to bring you up in it. But from what I've been told, both those boys are really smart. They're really smart guys. And this is what I like about what is going on with his oldest, who eventually would become the team president, maybe run the whole thing. Mm-hmm. My father worked in a family business, and I was on my mother's side, and he eventually became the vice president. And he told me with great pride how he started there sweeping the floors and then working his way through department by department before he became the vice president. And I said, well, why did you work your way all the way up? Why didn't you basically just start at the VP level? Now, granted, I was probably like 7 or 8 at the time, not knowing the difference. And what he said to me was very profound. He said, I don't want anybody looking at me and saying, you don't understand my job. That to me is a big deal. And for the most part, Sterling Monfort will understand most people's jobs. And that's the way bosses should be. Mm-hmm. Being able to have that empathy of how difficult something is. My hope is, and this was a Patrick Saunders column, it was a mailbag, I believe, a couple of days ago.
Yep.
So, and we're taking the wrong turn on this because this is about, I get it, your column, but it all kind of ties together. Mm-hmm. So they can keep trading away older guys, and that's fine. But unless they have people in the room that hasn't been produced by incest, for lack of a better phrase, it's incestuous over there. It's going to be the same thing round and round and round. And my only hope is Sterling Monfort. I can't believe I'm saying that. And people are like, are you kidding? This is a kid who has a job only because of his dad, and using the metaphor, he was born on third base.
If he scouted himself, he wouldn't have known how he got there.
Right.
If Walker, to that point, if Walker and Sterling asked me, and they haven't, and I'm not the first person to say this to them, my advice to them would be to know what you don't know. In the way that I think we talked about this yesterday, I think to some degree the Cronkies and Josh knows what he doesn't know.
Yes.
On the hockey side, especially.
Yeah.
And they trust that. I think I would advise them to maybe even use how the Cronkies look at the Avs as a better example, even though I know you love his GM acumen than they do necessarily with the Nuggets, because that's a parallel. I think they both played the sport. I believe Walker did. Maybe both boys did. And so there's I know this game. Know what you don't know, and don't be afraid to go outside your comfort zone, which has not been the family philosophy, obviously. And the incestuous nature of the baseball operations has created not just a beast, but an embarrassment. And the only way out of that is to completely change the organizational thinking. And I hope that the boys can do that. I really
By
do.
the way, I totally got the wrong Monfort. Sterling Monfort. I called him Sterling Monfort. He's the director of scouting.
Right.
Much,
Walker
right?
is the other one.
I meant Walker. So
Mhm.
my apologies.
Mhm.
So my hope is Walker Monfort taking over. Am I crazy in thinking that? Because I'll tell you right now, Dad is not getting it done. So the only hope is the son.
No, it's dead on. I like the worst comp. And I think having lived through that with friends who are Blackhawks fans, that is the Rockies' only hope other than realignment, frankly, which we
Right.
talked about. And I'm not sure how likely that is, because the other thing you need besides a real organizational mindset shift is to get the hell out of that division. Or some kind of thing where you're with the Rangers and Royals and something more central centric than coastal centric, because you're not going to win the arms race with the Dodgers and Giants ever.
Right.
And that's just real, cap or no cap. That's not changing. So you either need to get into a division that fits your weight class, or you need to change how you train for a fight.
So quickly getting back to your column, yeah, I think they should try and trade Marquez and McMahon for pieces. But do you truly trust the front office to make the right deals?
No.
So why trade them?
And they don't. And to your point, they don't trust themselves either. And so we just end up.
Why do you say that?
What you said before, that they don't have the scouting depth and the knowledge to get what they should get for players at near peak or the tail end of peak value. When the guys, again, second paragraphs, I said you could almost field a lineup from guys who walked away for nothing since 2018. You could put LeMahieu at first. You could put Brendan Rodgers at second. You could put Trevor Story at short, wherever you want to arrange it. You could put Elias Diaz catching from John Gray. There have been other pitchers.
Do you think Dick Monfort's cheap?
No, I think he's stubborn.
Well said. I think he is stubborn. And it's funny because there is still that narrative out there that he is cheap.
No.
And on his ball club, he is not cheap.
Nope.
Then again, he doesn't have a big TV deal. But the truth is, he is cheap. And he's the worst type of cheap. Okay? And this is what I mean by that.
Mm-hmm.
His analytics department, I believe, is the smallest in baseball, right?
Yep.
What does that take? Money. He doesn't want to spend it. And here's another little nugget for you that's going to make you fall off your chair as we're doing this podcast right now. When Shohei Ohtani was getting ready to come to the major leagues, almost every Major League Baseball team had a scout there to watch him, except for the Rockies. Did you know that? They did not have a scout out there to watch Shohei Ohtani. And the reason was, well, we're not going to get him anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, and as far as their scouting department, they need to have someone in the Far East. They don't. They need to have more people down in Latin America. They don't. That's just stupid. That is just stupid. That has nothing to do with the salary cap. If you want to win, get better scouting. And that's why, or get more of it.
Yep.
Right? Get more of it. So when you're making Nolan Arenado trades and you're getting very little to anything in return, it's because your people don't know, and because they don't have the right data because you're not paying for it.
Yeah. The problem is not that they don't spend average-ish money on payroll. The problem is because they don't spend average-ish money on infrastructure.
Correct.
On the outside things that you need. Structure. They don't. They pay for the paint, but they don't pay for the engine or whatever car analogy you like.
Right.
Eventually the engine gives out, and you don't get anywhere. You've got paint. You've got a nice bumper, but if that engine sucks, your car's not going to work. And the engine with the Rockies sucks. It sucks. And here we are.
Coming up after the break, Shedeur Sanders. A report came out yesterday that if you are a Shedeur Sanders fan, if you are a Cleveland Browns fan, and I know you're saying, Eric, you're overreacting and the sky is falling. I'm just giving you an observation as a 57-year-old man who's lived life, and I'm a parent. So here's how I'll tease it going to break. I think you should be concerned about Shedeur Sanders, and for a lot of reasons. There's a reason why I fell to the 5th round in the draft, and now I think those teams are looking at what has happened over the last 10 to 12 days and saying, this is why. That's next.
Spice up your next night out at Nola, Jane, and Lodo. Authentic Cajun cuisine like andouille sausage gumbo with dirty rice, crawfish etouffee, as well as 6 different po' boys like soft-shell crab and shrimp. Come in before or after a game at Ball Arena. Host a party or party on their rooftop deck overlooking Market Street during happy hour from 11 a.m. to 5. Plus, Nola Jane caters, delivers, and the kitchen is open late night. Make Nola Jane your new favorite spot to eat, drink, and party like it's Mardi Gras.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a pair of Spider Cruisers or over $15,000 in cash the weekend of July 18th, just in time for the Sturgis Bike Rally in South Dakota. That's right, your choice, cruisers or $15,000 in cash. Get finalist entries every 45 minutes from 10 a.m. to midnight during their daily cash drawing with a locked-up jackpot of $100 or more. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, loose slots, great promotions, great food, and a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch in the DTC. Both locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook is a hangout bar or great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, the DTC, and coming soon to Parker. They are the sports bar.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corn bake. Man, you gotta try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Welcome back. Hot Takes, Goodman and Hurdle. Before we jump into it again, Sean, I want to tell you about Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. They're absolutely the best in Denver. And the one reason why I trust them and the one reason why I think they are so good is they don't sell you stuff that you don't need. All you have to do is go through their Google reviews, and they have 165 5-star Google reviews, not 4-star, not 4.5. They are 5. Their customers love them. And when I talk about selling you stuff that you don't need, I can tell you this as absolute fact when it comes to companies in this category, whether it's heating and cooling, whether it's a water heater, whether it's a garage. A lot of these guys work on commission, and they get a base pay, but they make their money selling new furnaces. They make their money selling new HVAC because it's a big commission for them. So why would they want to fix your furnace? Why would they want to fix your HVAC when they can make more money the other way? That is completely dishonest. And the owner, Cody of Ferguson's Heating and Cooling, said to me, I'd rather eat the money and lose money knowing that the customer got a fix instead of a complete replacement. He goes, I would just rather do that because that's the way to do business. That's the type of company you want to work with. Go to FergusonHeatingandCooling.com, FergusonHeatingandCooling.com. And by the way, Sean, I know that you are a big NFL draft guy. Are there any Fergusons that recently came out in the draft that strike your memory? Local Fergusons that came out in the draft, but played at Oregon?
Terrence.
Cody is his dad.
Look at that.
How do you like that?
That's some good bloodlines right there.
He decided not to go into the family business. He decided to play football instead, although his dad is a high school football coach at Heritage. With that, time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Your family should trust the Ferguson family for all your heating and cooling needs, and you'll see why they have over 165 5-star Google reviews. Make an appointment today at fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Quick disclaimer, Sean. It has been well documented you've had a few challenges with Deion Sanders in the past. I am not trying to throw you under the bus with this next story. If Deion Sanders wants to come after me, have at it, okay? But you know the Sanders family. You are up at Colorado and at Colorado Boulder all the time. We talked briefly yesterday about Shedeur Sanders getting caught for speeding, going 101 miles an hour in a 60. Yesterday came out that roughly 7 to 10 days before, he got caught driving 91 in a 65. On its own, and oh, by the way, he reportedly failed to appear for the arraignment as well. On its own, people get speeding tickets. I've gotten speeding tickets. I haven't gotten caught going 101. No. Okay. Speeding is speeding. I get it. Okay. With all of that, this is my concern about Shedeur Sanders. And Deion, if you want to come after me with what I'm about to say, my answer is do a better job of parenting, because your son clearly doesn't learn from his mistakes. When you get caught, think about this. When you get a speeding ticket, Sean, isn't it in your head, on your radar for a while? Like, I don't want to get another one. Right?
Yeah. In fact,
does this kid have such a short-term memory that a week ago he didn't get busted going 91 into 65? And oh, by the way, all of us at some point have gone 91 into 65.
Oh,
it's just when it happens.
Right. Which is your point. How big a deal is it? It's not on its surface a huge deal. It's not.
No, it's not.
We have all committed that sin.
Yes.
And so there's part of me where I kind of go, yeah, okay. But to your point, when you have a pattern of this, and then you bring up the arraignment, and then bells, that's when the bells start going off, where you start going, this is the stuff that his brother ran into. This is the stuff that the people that knocked him anonymously pointed out, and that people who knew him pointed out, but were scared to say because the family, let's face it, again, has not just a university behind them now. They have a media machine that will run you over if they want to target you. Right. And I'm living proof. Now, I'm living proof you can live with the tire treads on your back, but it's not fun people are scared of Deion Sanders, and so they don't say what they really think about Deion and what they really think about his kids. Shedeur, I have no issue with Shedeur personally, because frankly, Shedeur and Shiloh were kind of the same to everybody up there, whether dad liked us or not. And that is not really caring what we said or what we did. And I respect that.
They
That's
care
fine.
about everything you say.
Well,
they are the most insecure.
Dad
they're
is. I don't
totally
know that the
insecure.
boys are. I don't know that the boys are. But regardless, and we talked about this yesterday, that has a shelf life. And it's okay to not care, but it's not okay not to be self-aware. Does that make sense? It's sort of
Absolutely.
like, where I have any honest critique as a parent myself, as you are, as a 50-something parent myself, as you are, is not that a kid is cocky or arrogant or his religion or his race. It's that you come across as entitled. And that's a hard play, both in a locker room and in a new city where you don't have anybody who has your back. If anything, they're looking for the opposite. I hope that these are fabulous as a parent, speaking as a parent, that these are life lessons for Shedeur of what I shouldn't do. But I don't know that those lessons stick. And I think that there are a lot of teams going, see?
Yeah.
And it's not, again, speeding tickets are uncomfortable, but they're not, they are life or death. And that's a terrible analogy to use.
Right.
They are not the most egregious sin that drivers and young men commit. They're not. We all have done it. It's not right. But when you have a pattern of not caring about responsibility on an NFL team, and here's the point, I know you're going to get to this. You are a 5th-round draft pick. You are that for a reason. You are not essential to what they're doing.
Right.
And if that's fine, if you wanted to take it out of Cleveland, that's not meant to be a pun. That's meant to be literal. You're starting the path. But I'll tell you what, the next place you go, it's going to be the same thing. And everything you do the rest of your life, it's going to be the same thing because you have that family name. And I think you have to be aware of that. And it's always been the lack of self-awareness that struck me about both of the Sanders kids at Colorado. And I don't know if Dad made those points, if they ever stuck.
Do you think, well, here, let's start with Bo Nix. What do we say about Bo Nix all the time? Doesn't really make the same mistake twice.
No.
Okay. And it's not even self-awareness. It's just he computes it, thinks about it, digests it, so on and so forth. This happened twice in about a week.
Yeah.
And here's something else Shedeur doesn't understand. The Cleveland Browns have no great interest in protecting a 5th-round pick.
Nope. None.
Colorado does. Deion does.
Yeah.
Shiloh does. I understand that. He is going to twist himself naked in the wind if he thinks that dysfunctional Browns franchise can defend anyone. Look at what happened with the Deshaun Watson fiasco,
Yeah.
Johnny Manziel fiasco.
Yep.
And I'm not suggesting Shedeur Sanders' career is going to end up like Johnny Manziel. And I'm sure there's some very nice people in that PR department, but whoever is giving that PR department marching orders is not doing it the right way. Maybe it's Bill Schmidt giving them marching orders or Dick Monfort.
You remember the look that the GM and the assistant GM had right before he was announced? The Shedeur pick was announced. That picture that went viral on Twitter, they're just kind of going and kind of looking at each other. That's why. Because when anything good or bad happens with Shedeur Sanders or Deion or Shiloh or anybody in the family, because of that media empire and the people who either love it, I live in the middle ground or try to, and the Sanders family doesn't. It either has to be you love us or you hate us. It has to be hot or cold, and we love your love and we live off your hate. I don't live by that as a person. So that's always been a bit of a struggle for me to empathize with. I understand it, but I don't empathize with. I don't know where you go from there. And I certainly know there are people in the Browns who are going, to your point, are going, taking a long, deep sigh because you're getting viral news, anything they do. And when it's even something like this, then it just compounds itself. And you can't get the cycle back for the things that the player wants to care about or should care about, and that is the football. And the national people start jumping on that, and then you've got a whole thing. So it's weird. Isn't it weird how the Browns just go from nuclear to nuclear to nuclear to nuclear with this thing? It's amazing to me.
What's amazing to me is that Shedeur Sanders is like the new Dallas Cowboys to ESPN. Got to talk about him all the time.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he is must talk for all of these morning and afternoon talk shows. So the Cleveland Browns are getting the attention that they want with Shedeur Sanders, and that's fine. And we'll certainly see how it plays out for him. But at the end of the day, I do believe that your off-field activities will reflect your on-field activities. We could talk about how bad the Colorado offensive line was for Shedeur Sanders. We talk about it all day, but I do believe Sean Payton when he says a lot of those sacks, many of them, most of them are on the quarterback. And here's the best example that I will give you. 2 years ago, who was Russell Wilson's offensive line? Mike McGlinchey, Ben Powers, Lloyd Cushenberry, right? Quinn Miners, Garrett Bowles, all totally healthy. Those frickin' chumps gave up like 45 sacks. They nearly killed their quarterback. They were terrible. They almost killed their guy, Russ Wilson, man. Yet the following season, a guy with a processor who understands the game, is really good at reading a playbook, under the same offensive line, but not Lloyd Cushenberry, maybe arguably a step back, he got sacked, 20 times?
Yeah.
It's the quarterback, man.
Yeah.
So if you can't learn from getting a speeding ticket, and then a week later, it happens again because you are so not aware and really don't care, and you're reportedly not showing up to court because it's like, dude, I'm legendary, man.
Yeah.
I'm just flat out legendary. He's going to make it's those mistakes on the field where he's not aware because he thinks it's not me, it's them. The most interesting thing that he said at the combine was this. I'm glad he said it because any therapist will tell you the only way to cure a problem that you're having is to actually take the first step, which is recognizing that you have it. He recognized it because he said it out loud. I played hero ball too much. But once he throws that first deep pass, it's going to be like the musical Little Shop of Horrors. He's going to be that plant. He's going to take one drop of that blood, and it's going to be feed me, Seymour. And he's going to want more and more and more deep passes because you know what? He is completely not self-aware of because of the world that he grew up in.
Yeah.
And he didn't have to be. There were no consequences for him, I am sure. I'm not saying he's a bad kid, but I understand he doesn't drink.
No, and that's the gray area.
He's a parent's dream when it comes to not drinking and not doing drugs.
Right. I think the thing about decision-making is decision-making. And the unfortunate thing for Shedeur, who I think was one of the best college quarterbacks I ever saw, for all his flaws. And because he played with one of the best college players any of us ever saw, as we've talked about in Travis Hunter. The trouble with the decision-making and these little, not even little, but headlines like this is assuming he gets through camp and gets those looks in game in August and in July, is that any error he makes on the field is going to be lumped into this.
Yeah.
whether it's fair or not, whether it's right or not, that it becomes if he throws into double coverage, and to your point, throws a bunch of deep balls because he loves the taste, and he wants to be Audrey too. Would he be Audrey 3? What Audrey would he be?
He could be.
I love that we get the little shop. I'll give the Rick Moranis reference in there.
Yes.
Is that it all gets lumped together and it all becomes one collective narrative. And then once that snowball starts in this league, as you know, it is hard to keep it from running downhill. And this is a snowball that didn't need to start rolling, and that's on him.
Shedeur Sanders needs to understand something. The Browns are not going to protect him like the Packers protected Brett Favre. Okay? The Browns are not going to protect Shedeur Sanders like the Buffalo Sabres, a team I covered for Dominic Hasek.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
You better be amazing. You better be great. You better be, dare I say, legendary for teams to protect your off-the-field sins. Shedeur, you're a fifth-round pick. And everybody said about him, well, he's probably humbled now. I said, you just wait.
Yeah.
You just wait. He's a kid, excuse me for saying it this way, he's like an overweight kid who can't help himself when there's a piece of cake in front of him. He just has to have it, no matter what. He has no self-discipline when it comes to that. Does he? And I'll let you get the final word in.
No, and again, I'm just retracing old steps. It was never about, besides the football stuff, it's what entitlement is entitlement, and it is hard to untrain entitlement.
Yeah.
And that's tough. But the talent is there. You just hope that the talent, as it did collegiately, dwarfs the entitlement. And right now we don't know, and we're about to find out. And I just hope for his sake, genuinely as a parent, that it does, because it's be sad for it to end like that. But you know what? He's going to be rich either way. He's going to be pretty either way, as they say, and that's fine. But you just hate to see something like this sidetrack a road that's already off to a bad start and confirm the doubts that people have, because he's given them the fuel, and now it's up to him on the football field to prove that it's worth it on the other side.
Make headlines on the field.
Yep, exactly.
Period. Make headlines on the field. That's going to do it for us. For Sean Keeler, I am Eric. Hot Takes Goodman and Hurdle. Sean, have a great weekend. I will see you on Monday.
You too, brother. See you then.
See you, pal.